a Quilt Conversations live highlight, free motion quilting ideas for beginners. What's the first pattern we learn with free motion quilting? I think for many of us, it is either stippling or some call it a meander, where you just stitch in a curvy, wiggly pattern over the surface of a quilt. And there's so many things you can do with a meander. You can follow a pattern with a meander. I want to show you some examples. This is a meander. And many of us are familiar with a meander like this or this one. This is not so tight. This is denser, more stitching. This has less stitching. Look at these two. This one, this meander goes in a line back and forth. You can clearly see that there is a direction to this meander. What about this one? This meander goes in a circle and then comes out. It's a spiral, right? So you can meander in different ways and use this to help you build your skills in free motion quilting. Take time to expand your meander patterns by following different pattern lines. Do a spiral, do a linear, meaning going back and forth. But guess what else you can do? Let's take a look at this. Here is a crosshatch that's diamond shaped. And you can mark this on your quilt with your favorite marking tool or use painter's tape. And you just go along the line. Instead of it being a straight line, it's a tight meander. Let's take a look at another example. Look at this one. The meander can be a long, wide meander or a tight meander. So you can still meander across your quilt, but make the meander follow a pattern. This is a zigzag pattern. You can divide the space with the meander, and we're going in two directions to create this crosshatch here and over here. So hopefully you're getting the idea. There's so many ways that we can take what we know and change it up to get a different look. So if you are in the beginning stages of free motion quilting, you can practice meander by dividing the space and stitching different types of meander. Really tight stitching, looser stitching. Here we put meander in between some straight lines. So here's the walking foot stitching, straight lines, and then in between that we have meander. This is the same as this. What's the difference? Instead of it being vertical, the meander is on the diagonal. We have straight lines with walking foot. Then we have meander in between. And you can make this as small or as big as you want. When we're selecting a design based on what level we are, what skill level we are, where we are in our journey with free motion quilting, think of all the ways that you can stitch the pattern that you know. Most patterns can be stitched from top to bottom, left to right, right to left. We can do it in a zigzag. We can do it in a spiral, most designs, right? All right. Speaking of directional designs, what do we do next if we're learning free motion quilting and we have stitched and we have practiced meander? We can lengthen out our meander pattern. Let's go back. And in between the meander, we can add a flower. We can add a star. We can add a butterfly. We can add all kinds of things. We can meander, add a flower. Meander, add a flower, etc. Right? Once we start to branch out into learning other patterns, we can stitch a meander, right? And add a star or an X. This is basically an X with a couple of extra lines, right? Here's our X and then a vertical line in between the X that looks like a star. And we can stitch this in a straight line, or we can stitch it as a curve and put a star strategically at different places on the curve. So many options. These are stitched vertically. You can do these row by row or column by column. Here's another idea where we can stitch our pattern in a vertical way, right? If we look at this straight line and we have the letter O, 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 right? And in between that, we've taken the same idea of the letter O and we've added the star and put O's at the end of each part of the star. Ladies who are in the alphabet design course, this may look familiar to you. You have been practicing different designs based on the alphabet. And if you haven't, I hope this will encourage you to do so. So in the alphabet design course, I show you how to make this. So you can easily add your S. This is your S pattern in your course. And now on the S, you're adding an X, right? With an extra line to make it a star. Hopefully you are practicing and you're getting inspiration to start doing more of the design work in the course. Here's another example. We went from meander to now vertical based designs, all based on the alphabet. Something we already know. Again, here is the letter O, straight line, letter O, straight line. Then we have some L's or U's or box letters. Whatever helps you to move your finger over it for muscle memory. If you need to think of the letter C, the box letter C, then this is a C going one way. Now it's going backwards, and the C is going in different directions. And it's just row by row by row, one right after the other. So this was to give you some inspiration about the different types of designs you can add to your quilt. This is edge to edge based on column or row quilting. But a lot of us like to stitch a background fill, something like this. This is bare cloth. There's a video here on my YouTube channel that you can learn how to stitch this out. And this pattern fills the space. You don't know where it begins or where it ends. That is called, for me, a design that has no direction. This design has a direction, meaning it's vertical, or if you turn it this way, it's a horizontal direction, right? But there's really no beginning and end, even though it's at the end of the quilt. This, no beginning, no end, it fills the space. What would be a pattern that has direction? That might be a feather design. The feather plume starts at the bottom and you work your way up, and that has a direction, right? This is another pattern. This is Plume Party. This is another video that's here on the YouTube channel if you want to learn how to stitch this. These are plumes from a feather, but continuous. Can you tell where it started or where it has ended? No. Which is another type, a pattern that you want to be able to learn. So hopefully you are seeing the need to build your skills with machine quilting. Right? Now, if you are ready and you want to go deeper, and deeper means, to me, the next step. Wherever you are in your journey, the next step. It's your journey. My journey is not your journey or someone else's journey. So only you can evaluate where you are and where you want to go, right? But I want to help you if I can. And if I can help you, consider the Free Motion Alphabet course. You see the designs here? These are all from the course. and their designs based on the alphabet. Something you already know. I help you with a multi-page guide. One, you learn the stitching path. Then once you learn the stitching path, you take that and you augment and change the path slightly to create more designs. Let's look at a couple examples. We talked about this earlier, the letter O. I showed you several designs based on the letter O. Here is another one. This is still O's, but now it's connected to wavy lines or the letter S. It's still a meander pattern. The idea behind the alphabet course is to help you think about the shapes in the alphabet in a different way. And what letter do you see here? Do you see a box letter B or the letter D? What do you see, right? If you break it down based on the alphabet, what letter do you see? But this is a very modern edge-to-edge quilting that can easily be stitched. Does it have to be straight lines? No, it could be a wavy line between each of those boxed letter O's, right? We can make an O that is based on a square or rectangle. Ladies who are in the alphabet course, hand in those assignments. I want to help you move to the next step in your free motion quilting journey. And you know you have to practice, right? You have to practice. What else? How about one more? Look at this. This is another meander pattern, but with triangles or the letter V or the letter A that has been closed off. You put 3 of those together and it looks like a star or a bow. Still based on the alphabet. Learn the stitching path, which is in the course. It's a handout. Then you get another packet with 50 designs that you can practice. Yes, and those are just the beginning, because you're supposed to start there, and one of the last assignments in the course is to create your own designs. Yes, and some ladies, because they have gone through the course step by step, are designing their own free motion quilting patterns. And I know you can too. I'll see you next time for another Quilt Conversations Live.